On day 1, I spawned in as a diamond dragon. Whoa, check it out. I have nice diamond spots. Look at all my riches. It looks like I'm in a huge ruin, too. Before I had any time to explore, though, there was an explosion.
All right, men, loot the cave. Is that a diamond dragon?
Hey, man, what are you doing in my home? This is my stuff.
I must have the diamond dragon. Who knows what riches I can acquire with him?
The king's men started to attack me. I was still a baby, so I only had 5 hearts. I did my best to fight back, but there were too many of them. I was down to just 1 heart. I had to flee. I started to run, and then I started to fly. Whoa, this is awesome. I had to stay focused, though. I flew off to avoid the king.
I will have that diamond dragon's heart!
Wow, it's only day 1, and people are already after me. This is gonna be a long 100 days. On day 2, I crash landed on a house in a forest. Ow, I guess I can't control my flying too much. I'm sorry. Oh, man. This seemed far enough from the king and his men, at least. They wouldn't be able to track me here. I started to gather some of the wood from the house, and I made a crafting table. After, I crafted myself a set of wooden tools. It wasn't much, but at least I would be more protected. I went off to explore more of the world, and I came across a village that looked barren. I went and asked the villagers what was going on. The villagers were upset and told me I was the reason the king was destroying their villages. What? I just spawned in. How could this be my fault? Whoa, this is not good. I wonder if there's anything I could do to help these people. Suddenly, I started to cough, and whoa, I shot out diamond breath. Hit one of the villagers' houses and completely destroyed it. I didn't mean to. I didn't even know I had these powers. Suddenly, their iron golem started to chase after me. I had to leave. I'm sorry, guys. I flew off, feeling terrible about what I had done. I know I can make this right, but I'm gonna have to get stronger and figure out my powers first. On day 3, I decided I would return to where I came from and see what was left of it. When I arrived, the entire place looked totally looted. Oh man, what happened to my diamond blocks? Those were mine. I started to hear rustling in the cave and turned around to see a little goblin. Hey, what are you doing here? Do you work for that king?
Oh, no. I was just wandering around to find some riches.
Whatever you found, it belongs to me, okay? This is my home and my stuff. The goblin seemed very frightened by me and told me he didn't find anything. I had it, and I was about to use my diamond breath, but the goblin ran away scared. He was trembling, hiding. Is this what I become? A beast? I can't. Hey, how about you come with me and we can make our own base and you can keep the loot?
Oh, yeah, that would be great. My name's Gabi.
Oh, well, that's pretty straightforward. All right, let's go, Gabi. Now, I didn't have to be alone in this world. I had my first friend. First, I gathered some stone and crafted myself a set of stone tools. This was going to be much better than my wooden set. We ventured off and found a nice place to build a home. It wasn't much, but it was better than no home at all. We got to building. I built up a small home for me while the goblin built up a tiny little hut for himself. I used my spare wood to craft some chests and then crafted a few furnaces with the leftover stone I had. On day 4, I woke up to Gabi standing right in front of me. Hey, Gabi, what's going on, man?
I really appreciate you helping me out and being my friend, you know, so, here you go.
Gabi threw me over a core diamond and told me he found it at my home when he was looting it. Oh, wow, thank you so much. I looked at the diamond for a second, and then I had this overwhelming feeling that I needed to eat it. When I finished eating it, I transformed. Whoa, I'm way bigger, and I have 15 hearts. My skin looked different, too. I had so many more diamonds on it. I wonder what I'd be able to do with my new powers. Suddenly, a group of straddlers showed up at my base and started to attack me and Gabi. They started to throw things at me, and I did my best to dodge as many as possible. I tried to use my powers, but I wasn't able to control it. I was able to take them down. Nice. I'm still not accurate, but at least I'm more powerful. Thanks for the diamond, Gabi. I'm glad that you helped show me the value of having friends. After that was all done, I got to upgrading my house to be bigger so I can fit inside. There we go. Talk about upgrades. On day 5, I had a dream of a desolate wasteland. The world was completely empty, and the only thing in it was a massive castle made of gold and diamond blocks. I was inside the castle, in front of the king standing on a massive diamond throne. Hey, what is the meaning of this? You can't just take all the valuables in the world for yourself.
That is where you are wrong. All I care about is acquiring the richest kingdom in the land. You're the only thing I need.
I will never let you get away with this. The villagers deserve to live in peace, not tormented by you.
You are a dragon. No one in this world even likes you. You don't belong, you beast.
He started to run at me and hit me with his sword.
There is nothing you can do to stop me.
I woke up in a panic. Was that a bad dream? No, it had to be more. I think that's the future if I don't stop him. I better get to work. On day 6, I decided to head out and find the king. I needed to confront him fast and put a stop to what he was doing before it was too late. As I was flying around to try to find his castle, I was hit with an arrow and crash landed. Oh no, what was that? A group of knights approached me. They started to attack me. I tried to use my powers again, but they totally failed me this time. This isn't good. Luckily for me, they weren't too tough. I was able to take all of them down with just my sword. Wow, thank goodness for my dragon strength. I started to explore more. Eventually, I had been flying around for almost the entire day and decided to land in a nearby swamp. In the swamp, I saw a giant bird. Hey, do you by any chance know where I can find the king's castle? I'm afraid to say I think I'm the last one. Like I said, I'm looking for the king's castle. Do you know where it is? The bird explained to me that the king lived not too far from here, but it was highly defended. Oh, no. Thanks for the help. I took off towards the castle. On day 7, I arrived at the king's castle. I could hear a lot of commotion going on inside, so I flew up on a wall to try and get a better view. And I saw the king talking to the largest, scariest beast I'd ever seen.
I will take down that dragon, sir, as you command.
As much as I wanted to fight them now, I knew I was not nearly strong enough to take on the king's army and this butcher he hired. I flew off back toward my home to talk to Gabi about what was going on. On my way back, I spotted a cave and decided it was best to try to find some iron to craft upgrades. I flew into the cave and mined enough to craft a set of iron tools as well as some iron armor. This is definitely a start to being able to fight back against that king. On my way out, I spotted some emeralds and mined those too. Maybe I can give these to the villagers and win back their trust. I needed a way to apologize for what I did to them. On day 8, I returned to my base and started to talk to Gabi about the king recruiting the butcher.
Ah, yeah, the butcher is an absolute nightmare, man. Things are not gonna be too good.
I think we need to recruit some of the villagers to fight alongside us and overthrow the king. Without them, I don't think we stand a chance.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I flew off towards the village I'd been to earlier. I knew I needed to win their trust back, and hopefully with my offer of emeralds, they would be willing to join my cause. I landed in there and approached the villagers. They immediately trapped me though. They came up to the cage they trapped me in and told me they were waiting for me to return. They planned to turn me over to the king for the reward. No, please. I came back to give you guys these and apologize. I threw them the emeralds, but they weren't interested in them. They said the reward they were promised was much bigger than a few emeralds. They were still mad that I broke their house earlier. You don't understand, guys. The king will never share with you. If you turn me in, all hope is gonna be lost. I started to get mad. I blew open the cage with my powers, but in doing so, I also took out the house that was being rebuilt. Oh no, not again. The villagers were yelling at me as I flew off back towards my base. Wow, I just want to help these people, but all I've done is angered them more. On day 9, I returned to my base feeling very defeated. To clear my head, I decided to upgrade my home. I wanted to include a lot of the cobblestone that I had acquired from breaking out of the trap the villagers set. I started to collect dirt to create a farm. I also needed a reliable source of food at my base that Gabi and I could share. I got to work creating a farm and then used my leftover cobblestone around the outside of it. The base wasn't much, but it was coming together. It took my mind off the fact that everyone in this world except for Gabi seems to want me gone.
Oh, don't worry, Fozo. Everyone will come around eventually. You just need to give them more time.
Thanks, Gabi. I sure hope so. On day 10, I was awoken by Gabi calling for help. I ran outside and saw a group of mobs attacking my base. I quickly rushed out to defend it. I knocked them back with my sword, and once they were at a distance, I used my diamond breath. I missed the mobs and I took out part of my base. I decided it was not going to be safe to use my diamond breath ever again, so I defeated the rest of the mobs using my sword. Gabi and I worked together to patch up the part of my base I destroyed with my diamond breath. I really need to figure out a way to control my powers better. I wonder if there's a way I can acquire some special diamonds and learn to better use my powers. Who knows what's out there in the world for me. I decided I would head out and explore the world to see if I can find any more special diamonds. On days 11 to 12, I was flying around the world when I saw another village. I looked down and noticed a group of knights approaching it. Once I got closer, I noticed the knights were starting to raid it. They were taking all of their food and going through the village looting their chests. This must be orders from the king because of me. I knew I had to do something. I landed and called out for the knights. They immediately switched their attention to me and started to attack. They rushed in and I started to fight them off with my sword, but there were too many for me to take down. I didn't want to use my powers because I was afraid I was going to hurt the villagers or another one of their homes, but I had no choice. I used my powers and luckily I hit the knights, dealing a ton of damage. I used them again and managed to take the rest of them down. Wow, that was lucky. I know a lot of this is my fault to begin with, but I'm doing what I can to do what's right. The villagers told me it wasn't my fault, and the king's greed had tormented them long before I was even born. Wow, that's something I haven't heard of before. How about you guys come back to my base and we can work together to take him down? On days 13 to 14, I returned to base with a group of villagers I'd rescued from the king's men. I knew they would be safer here since the king didn't know where I lived. Gabi and I got to work building them houses to sleep in. We started with just simple houses, but I knew eventually I would need to expand them to make it feel more like the village they were used to. Next, we started working on a farm. I had enough food for Gabi and I, but now that I brought back these guys, I knew it wouldn't be enough. The villagers had offered to work on the farm as repayment for for letting them stay with me. How nice of them. Once I finished, I had this incredible idea. I started to work on a project that was going to take a long time. I wanted it to be a symbol of hope and community for the rest of the world to see. I knew it would eventually help everyone in the world fight the king's greed. Once I was finished working on the statue, I was approached by one of the villagers. He told me there was a gathering at the butcher's stronghold. I knew I needed to head there and try to stop the butcher's army from growing strong. The villager dropped me a map and wished me luck. I took the map and headed off toward the butcher's stronghold. On days 15 to 16, I arrived at the location of the butcher's stronghold. I landed and confronted him. What purpose does fighting for the king's greed give you?
Weak dragon, you know nothing of this world. Once I have your head, I will be the richest man in all the land.
Is it worth destroying so many lives and causing so much destruction for that?
The weak villagers don't deserve anything. These lives are pointless.
You're a monster and I'm gonna stop you. The butcher charged at me and started to attack. I tried to keep him back with my sword, but he was incredibly fast. Every time he hit me, it was extremely powerful and I was down to only a few hearts. I tried to use my dragon powers, but I couldn't. This is not good.
Pathetic dragon, your heart is mine.
So I had no choice but to fly off as fast as I could. As I was leaving though, he shot at me. It hit my left wing. I landed hurt. I couldn't fly anymore. I had to retreat. I knew that I would defeat him once I was stronger. On days 17 to 18, I returned back to my base, feeling incredibly defeated. Gabi approached me, saying that my wing was injured.
Hey, Fozo, what's wrong?
My wing, it's hurt. I wasn't able to use my powers against the butcher. If I can't control them, there's no way I'll be able to defeat him or the king. I need to find more diamonds.
Yeah, well, there's a legend that an old cave not too far from here is said to contain rare ores that have never been seen.
He told me where the cave was and said if the king hadn't already looted it, I might find what I need there. Gabi, why didn't you tell me that earlier? I headed off toward the cave. I reached it as the sun was setting. I found the entrance that Gabi had described to me. Outside the cave entrance was a group of zombies. I needed to clear them out in order to enter. I started to fight them with my sword. They weren't that tough, but with my injured wing, it was hard to fight. Once I had a few of them down, I used my dragon breath to finish them off. Wow, I would really be powerful if I could just use this all the time. I entered the cave and started looking for any special ore I can find. On days 19 to 20, I continued my search into the cave. The king definitely didn't find this cave yet because there was still a ton of iron. I took the time to collect as much as I could and use it to finish my set of armor. This should keep me protected from the butcher. Much better. Deeper in the cave, I finally saw something shiny in the distance. It looked like a diamond, but different. The ore was extremely shiny. I made my way over to it and mined it. I started to eat it, and I can feel myself growing more powerful. Whoa, check it out. I have 25 hearts. My skin also changed, and I'm full diamond now. I'm definitely turning stronger, that's for sure. As I exited the cave, I was attacked by a giant mutant mosquito. He charged me and started to hit me with his fists. This guy was tough, but with my new diamond upgrade, I was tougher. A few more good hits, and I was able to take him out. Nice. I am getting stronger. I flew off towards my base to show Gabi my new upgrade. On days 21 to 23, I returned to my base and quickly found Gabi. Hey, Gabi, check it out. Notice anything different?
Oh, wow, Fozo. You look much shinier. Looking good.
Thanks, Gabi. I decided to take the time to expand my base. I started by making my house bigger. I created a storage room that would be able to hold all the loot I brought back for the villagers on my adventure. Next, Gabi and I started to expand the villagers' houses. I didn't want them living in such basic homes. It was really starting to look like the village they lived in before. Don't mention it, guys. Just trying to make up for what the king has done to you. As I finished building, I noticed some gorillas entering our base. They started to steal all of our crops. Hey, that's not yours. They ran off into the forest, and I chased after them. Luckily, I was a dragon, so it was easy for me to catch up. Where do you think you guys are going with that? The gorilla explained to me that the king had been taking more and more of the jungle to use on his war machines. Wow, I guess it's not only people being affected by the king's greed. I told him he and his family could just live at my base as long as they don't steal any of my food. I brought the gorilla back and built him and his family a little area to live in. Later, I would have to get some of the jungle trees to make it more like their home. The gorilla gave me a banana in gratitude. I was then approached by a villager who told me a nearby kingdom was being attacked by the butcher. An entire kingdom now? Oh no. On days 24 to 26, I made my way to the kingdom that was being attacked by the king and his men. I went in. The king rushed at me and started to attack me. I used my sword to keep him back and try to hit him with my powers, but I kept missing.
Ha ha! Weak dragon, you still haven't mastered your own weapons.
I shot my diamond breath at him again, and luckily this time it hit him. It sent him flying away from the village. Whoa, saving this kingdom really did feel great. I hope all of you guys are okay. I'm starting a new village at my base to protect you all from the king and his men. You guys should tag along. They're extremely grateful and agreed to come back to my base with me. I guess everyone was so sick of that king. I was approached by an old librarian villager, and he gave me a map. He explained to me that the dwarves used to live there, and they collected a lot of special ores in their time. Wow, this might be the key to unlocking my true potential. On days 27 to 29, I returned back to my base with the villagers.
Oh, great. More mouths to feed and more building. Just what we needed.
Despite Gobby's reluctance, we got to work making more homes for the villagers. We built a few houses with a structure for lots of beds to serve as a hotel for the villagers. My plan was to arm them as best as I could to make sure they were able to defend themselves if I was gone. Some of the villagers were reluctant at first, but they came around to defending themselves. As soon as I armed the villagers, they tried to fight each other over the crops. I stepped in and quickly broke it up. We can't be like the king, guys. It did make me realize we were gonna run low on food with the amount of people living in the village now. So Gobby and I started to expand the farm. Next, I got back to work on my project and started to add more and more material to it. I needed it to be big so that when the time was right, I can use it and send my diamond powers flying across the land. I knew I was going to need more material to finish my statue and would need to find some redstone to power it. That was for another day though. The most important thing for me right now was to find the old dwarven mine and try to unlock my true potential. On days 30 to 32, I set off toward the dwarven mountain. As I was flying over the savannah, I noticed a group of elephants being attacked by the king's men. They must be trying to take their hides and tusks to make armor and weapons. I flew down and quickly started to fight off the king's men. With my new upgraded dragon powers, these puny knights stood no chance. No problem. It's what I'm used to doing. Those knights are the worst. The elephant explained to me that they set up an outpost close by and had been coming daily to kill more and more of them. I knew the dwarven mine could wait, and I needed to help these poor creatures. I flew off toward the outpost. It was a small structure. I can see men with bows and arrows and even some ballistas set up. The men were not very accurate, and I was able to fly by and hit the outpost with my powers, slowly destroying it. After a few passes, the outpost was completely destroyed. Nice. I returned to the elephants and let them know that the outpost had been taken out. No problem, guys. If you are looking for a safer place to live, here are the coordinates to my base. The elephants thanked me, and I headed off toward the Dwarven Mountain. On days 33 to 35, I arrived at the old Dwarven Mountain. Wow, the village's map actually did lead me here. Unfortunately, though, the map ended right here, and I didn't know where to go next. I waited a little while, and suddenly I saw a wandering trader leaving from the backside. Hey, do you know a way into this mountain?
Yeah, there's a small passage in the ravine not too far from here.
What are you doing here to begin with? I heard it was abandoned a long time ago.
Yeah, every few weeks I come back and deliver supplies outside a large door, and I've left some gold and other riches. I'm not sure who takes them, but I'll take it.
I thanked the trader and made my way to the ravine he described. Once there, I took a quick look around. It was strange. The mountain contained no ores at all. I started to doubt if the villager had known what he was talking about, when suddenly I was attacked by a group of undead spirits. I started to fight back. These guys were incredibly tough, and it took a while, but eventually, down they went. On days 36 to 38, I finally arrived at the main door. It was massive and made out of gold blocks. I tried to open it, but I was unable to. I noticed that there were pillars on the outside. 3 of them had shiny gold stars on them, but one was missing. I wonder if I can find the 4th one that will open the door. Suddenly, I was attacked by an ender golem. He got close and punched me with his fists. I had to keep him away with my sword. If I got too close, he would jump up and slam the ground, which did a ton of damage. This fight was tough, but luckily, I had a lot of hearts. I hit him a few more times and was able to take him down. When he died, he dropped the last star. Oh, how convenient was that? I rushed over to the golden door and placed the final star on the pedestal. Oh no, is that an earthquake? I looked back and saw the door open. I quickly rushed into the door to find out what was on the other side. On days 39 to 41, I entered the large room filled with riches. There's gold as far as my eye can see. Wow, this is crazy. Suddenly, something hit me in the side. Ow, what was that? Who's there?
I knew one day someone would come for our dwarven treasures.
It was a dwarf, or I thought so at least. This guy was massive. I don't want your treasures, okay? I was told you might know of special ores.
Lies!
I had no choice but to fight back against him. He was quick, but I was faster. I was able to hit him with my dragon powers, and I could tell he was getting weak. Listen, I don't want your treasure, okay? I just want to know if you know anything about special ores.
Ah, dragon. Never thought I'd see one. I know of special ores, and by the looks of you, you already found some yourself.
I need them to help grow my powers. The more I eat, the stronger I become, okay?
The final one you seek is buried deep in the desert with an old king, but you'll still need to master your powers.
Will you be able to train me once I get the final ore?
I know nothing of training dragons, but the elves that live deep in the dark forest do.
I thanked the dwarf for the information and left his cave. On days 42 to 44, I returned to my base and saw I was under attack by a group of knights. They were using catapults to attack the wall. I noticed that the group of villagers I had armed were fighting back against them. Wow, I guess that was a really good idea. I threw some of my special special abilities to take out the catapults. We thought we took them all out, but then I noticed one was running away. He was surely trying to give our position away to the king. I chased after him and caught up to him in the forest. Wow, that was a close one. I returned to the base. I added a few houses for the elephants to live in. They thanked me. As the night was starting to set, I told Gabi about needing to travel to the desert to acquire the last special ore and unlock my full potential.
Yeah, good luck, Fozo. Here, take this.
He threw me a single carrot. Thanks, Gabi. I guess this will come in handy. I flew off toward the desert. On days 45 to 46, I arrived at the humongous temple. It was massive and seemed totally deserted, or so I thought. Inside, I started to notice a lot of tripwires. I did my best to avoid them, but I accidentally stepped on one and arrows started to shoot at me. Like, that was a close one. I heard a clicking noise. Oh no. The ground beneath me blew up and I fell into a pit. When I landed, I was in a massive tomb. I looked around and noticed an ore I'd never seen. I made my way over to grab the ore, but I suddenly heard a grumbling behind me. It was a giant skeleton mummy. I prepared to fight, but the mummy spoke.
What are you doing down here? Why have you awoken me?
I just need to acquire this ore so I can get more powerful and defeat a greedy king that wants to take over the world.
You're not here to defile my grave and steal my riches?
No, just here for the ore.
Oh, alright. Huh, I'm going back to bed.
Oh, that was weird. I collected the ore and ate it. Whoa, I had 30 hearts now. Check it out. I exited the temple and headed back toward my base. On days 47 to 50, as I was flying back to my base, I saw the king and his men traveling with siege machines. No doubt, they were planning to use them on my base or another poor village. I decided to use my powers and fly over the army to destroy as many of these machines as I could. My powers were definitely a lot stronger.
Stupid dragon. I'll have your heart if it's the last thing I do.
You are no match for me, king. My powers have grown too much for you to handle. I decided it was best to fly off and not challenge him now.
I will get you, dragon.
I returned to my base and noticed that the village had been expanded without me. Hey, Gabi, what's going on?
Yeah, more villagers arrived. The word about the dragon trying to overthrow the king has spread and...
Wow, that is amazing. I can't believe you guys built this without me. On days 51 to 53, I woke up and decided to go mining for diamonds and redstone for my project. I went to a nearby cave and was able to collect a ton of redstone. It took me a while, but I was able to find some diamonds as well. I collected as many as I could and used them to make a diamond set of tools and some diamond armor. Check that out, a diamond block dragon with some diamond armor. This is gonna be so easy now. After I was done mining, I started to work on my project. I was going to use the redstone to help power up my diamond launcher. When the time was right, I'll be able to send diamonds all over the world and restore the wealth the king was hoarding for himself. I went to talk to Gabi about the elves that I needed to go see.
I don't trust elves, alright? They're bad people. Goblins and elves have never gotten along.
I understand, Gabi, but the dwarf told me that they are accustomed to training dragons, and I need to understand how to truly control my powers.
Whatever.
Gabi wished me luck, and I headed off toward the dark forest to find the elves. On days 54 to 56, while traveling to the dark forest, I noticed the butcher waiting outside. What are you doing here?
The same could be asked of you.
No reason, just going for a quick fly around the world, you know?
You think the elves can save you? No matter.
How did he know I was here to see the elves? I didn't have time to think about it. He charged after me and started to attack. Luckily, with my diamond armor, now he was less of a threat, and I was able to almost overpower him. Before I could deliver the final blow, he ran off. Oh man, I almost had him. At least he didn't injure any of my wings this time. On days 57 to 59, I was traveling through the dark forest trying to find the elf's base. I had to travel on the ground because the dark forest was too thick to see inside. While I was traveling, I was attacked by a massive horse creature. The creature was fast and he did a ton of damage. I began to fight him off using my dragon powers. The explosions were loud and very powerful. I hope I don't give my position away to the king and his men. The beast continued to attack me, but I was able to take it down with a few more good hits. I started to travel deeper into the forest when a group of elves ambushed me. No, listen guys, I need to find the elf who can train me. I didn't want to hurt them because I knew I needed to speak with them, but they would not stop attacking. Suddenly, I was struck with something and started to feel woozy. Oh no, I think I blacked out. On days 60 to 62, I woke up in front of the leader of the elves. Young dragon, I didn't know any of you were left. Listen, sir, I'm sorry I killed one of...
No worries. You did not know. Us elves have trained dragons for years. You, however, are very special.
Thank you, sir. This is why I'm here. I need to learn to better control my powers. The elf and I traveled to the top of the forest and spent time meditating. He said it would help me not to overthink my shot. We practiced breathing. Next, we spent some time doing target practice in the canopy. I was really starting to feel like I mastered my power.
Good, young dragon. You have started to come into your own.
I can't thank you enough. I can't wait to go home and show my powers to all my friends.
Home? Oh, you're not leaving. We can't have the last dragon leave the world and fly all alone.
Wait, what? I tried to fly off, but the elves trapped me in a cage. I tried to use my powers, but I was unable to break out.
Dragons are sacred to us elves, and the last one must be preserved.
On days 63 to 65, I woke up and tried to reason with the elves. They didn't care about the king and his greed, and just wanted to keep me safe from the outside world. You guys do not seem to understand. This guy will not stop at anything until he gets me. He's going to destroy the world over it.
Don't worry, young dragon. Our location is safe.
Finally, we found it.
Well,
Oh no, he's here! Look out! The king and his men started to burn the trees down that were supporting the elf's kingdom. I told you he would stop at nothing. I pleaded with the elf king to let me go. It was the only way to save his people.
you are right.
He unlocked the cage I was in, and I was able to fly out when he tossed me a bow.
This is an ancient dragon bow. Use it well.
I thanked him and flew off to draw the king and his men away.
The dragon is fleeing! Follow him!
On days 66 to 68, I returned home to my base. Something seemed different though. I realized Gabi was nowhere to be found. I looked around the base, but was unable to find him, and eventually asked the villager if he'd seen him. The villager told me he had gone out to collect more wood to expand some of the villagers' houses, but had not returned. Oh no. I started to assume something bad happened to Gabi, so I flew off to search for him. I wasn't too far from the base when I noticed a party of knights. I flew down and landed in front of them to ask where my friend was, but they immediately attacked. After training with the elves, these knights were seriously no match for me, and I quickly took all of them out, except one. Where is the little goblin who was at my base, huh? The knight explained to me while Gabi was out chopping wood, the butcher had snuck up and captured him. He had taken him back to his stronghold to use as bait for me. I knew it. I let the knight live for giving me the information I needed and flew off toward the butcher's stronghold. No doubt it was a trap, but I was much stronger than the last time I was there. On days 69 and 71, I arrived at the butcher's stronghold and landed outside of it. A few of his men tried to attack me, but I defeated them easily. I need to find Gabi. I called out for the butcher to show himself, and he finally exited the stronghold to confront me. Where is he?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I haven't seen him.
Your knights already told me you captured him and took him here. Suddenly, Gabi appeared on the walls of the stronghold,
Hey, yo, Fozo, help me out here.
and the butcher's men threw him in a pit of lava. Gabi! No! Gabi was gone. I started to attack the butcher. He ran into his stronghold, and I was unable to get to him. I flew into the air and started to use my powers on the base. I made sure to destroy every part of it. When I was finished, however, I did not see the butcher anywhere. He must have gone away. On days 72 to 74, I arrived at my base, still feeling incredibly sad about my friend. I gathered some materials and decided I would make a small monument for him. Now he will always be here with us. After building the monument, I went off to a nearby cave to acquire more diamonds and redstone for my diamond cannon. I can't lose sight of my mission. In the mine, I found a ton more redstone and more diamonds. I used the diamonds to finish my set of armor and then crafted some extra swords. I left the mine and started to arm the villagers in the base with diamond weapons. This way, we would have the upper hand if the king's men or the butcher decided to attack us again. I took the redstone over to my diamond cannon and started to add more to it. I used some cobblestone to create smooth stone and added it to the statue as well. Nice. This thing is actually getting really close to being done. On days 75 to 77, I woke up to the villagers gathering outside of my house. They told me that the first village I visited was under attack by the king's men. I knew this was finally my chance to win them over and set off toward the village. I arrived and quickly saw the knights were starting to burn it down. Clearly, the king was taking out some of his frustration on these poor villagers. I swooped in and used my dragon powers to take out their siege weapons before landing and using my diamond sword to finish off the rest of them. You're welcome, guys. I've come a long way since the first time I was at your village, and I hope you guys can see that. It's not an issue at all. I understand the struggles you were going through and why you thought that I was the reason everything was wrong. The villagers' houses had been totally destroyed by the knights, so I took them back to my base. On days 78 to 80, I woke up to my base under siege by the butcher and his men. Finally, he has come back, and I'll be able to defeat him once and for all. The villagers fought back against his knights while I took out his siege machines and siege golems. The golems had a ton more health than the other knights. I was able to take them out though, using my powers, as well as a few good hits with my sword. Now it's just you and me, butcher. You stand no chance.
I will never surrender. Your heart is mine.
He charged at me, and I flew in the air to avoid him. I used my dragon powers from above to weaken him.
How is this possible? I am the strongest knight in the land.
You were strong, but you have no honor, and therefore, you are weak. He charged at me again, but before he can get to me, my powers defeated him. No more butcher hurting the innocent. On days 81 to 85, I started to rebuild the wall and part of the base that had been destroyed by the butcher and his men. I took the time to build out the wall and make it much bigger and harder for anyone to get inside. This time, if someone attacked, they would stand no chance to get to the village. I then worked with the villagers to rebuild the homes that had been damaged during the the battle. All the villagers were extremely grateful for the way I treated them and thanked me for my hard work. It's not a problem, guys. I'm just glad everyone is my friend now. I then set off to the mines to find more diamonds that I would use to armor the villagers with. I collected as many as I could and crafted diamond armor. Finally, I finished my diamond cannon. This thing is gonna make the king so angry when he sees how wealthy all the villagers are now that I'm giving back to them. I used my powers, and only a single diamond was able to be launched from it. I wonder if my power source isn't strong enough then. I remember the dwarf had been using void cores to power the doors to his mine, and I wondered if one of those would be able to power my cannon more effectively. On days 86 to 90, I returned to the dwarf's cave and began asking him to join our cause. Dwarf, I need one of your void cores to power my diamond cannon so I can give riches back to the people.
I am sorry, Dragon, but I can't do it. We dwarves prefer to remain neutral in this world.
You don't seem to understand. Without your help, we may lose everything.
I see your point. The king will stop at nothing until he obtains everything.
The dwarf threw me one of his void cores, exactly what I need to power my cannon. I thanked him and started to leave.
Wait, let me gather my material. I'll come with you.
The dwarf and I returned back to my base. The dwarf then started to craft new weapons I'd never seen from some of his special ores. He began arming the villagers with these weapons, as well as giving them shields and crossbows. Now we're gonna definitely have the upper hand. On days 91 and 94, I went to the center of the cannon with my void core and hoped it would be all I needed to power it. I took a deep breath and used my powers. There was a blinding light, and suddenly it started to rain diamonds all over my village. It worked! I flew off to explore how far the diamond rain had gone. It was as far as I could fly. Even some of the villages I had not visited before were experiencing the diamond rain. I can see the joy on their faces. I returned to my base, feeling extremely proud of what I'd done. On days 95 to 98, I woke up to the sound of horns outside my base. Young dragon, we have decided to join your cause! The king took our home from us and must be stopped! Don't sweat it, guys. I understand you were only trying to protect me. We want to train the rest of your army to be more skilled with arrows so that the king will not stand a chance. The elves trained the villagers in archery and showed them how to master sword combat as well. The villagers were all geared up in diamond armor and now we're combat trained. The king's army was going to stand no chance against us now. We also created this for you, dragon. He threw me a potion. This is a potion that will enhance your powers. With this, you should be unstoppable. I thanked the elf and went to bed. We had a long battle ahead of us. On day 99, I set off toward the king's castle with my army. When we arrived, the king and his men were ready. They had fortified the castle with siege weapons and were gathered outside prepared to fight. The armies charged at each other and clashed in a massive battle. The elves shot bows at the knights from behind, while the villagers held the front line against the men. I flew around the castle, destroying as many siege weapons as I could before attacking the knights from behind. I told the knights they were outmatched and to go home while I dealt with the king. Some of the knights ran away, but others stayed for the fight, and we made quick work of the people who chose to fight. I flew up to the top of the castle to find the king. On day 100, I reached the top of the castle and confronted the king. Surrender! Your army is defeated!
I will never surrender. I want your heart.
The king was so overcome with greed, he had no regard for his own life or the lives of his men. He started to attack me. I drank the potion the elf had given me. I could feel my powers grow even stronger. You do not have to fight me. Back down! The king didn't listen. He continued to attack. I hit him with my sword a few times, and when he was weak, I used my powers and knocked him off his castle. I watched as he fell off the castle and was finally defeated.